Hi, my name is Tandine Duli, and you're watching Joburg Today.
Buying local has never been more important for our economy, and Proudly South African is at the forefront of this initiative. Peter Ndoro speaks to Happy Gidi, the Chief Marketing and Communications Officer for Proudly South African.
Happy, thanks so much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program. It's a big day today. This year's Proudly South African Summit kicks off. Before we get into what's going to happen, help our viewers understand what it's about.
So the Buy Local Summit and Expo is essentially a platform where Proudly South African showcases what South Africa can offer, not only to South Africans but to the world. So it's really about products that are made locally and services that South Africa has that can play in the global space, and products that we as South Africans should be proud of, not because we're feeling sorry for ourselves, shame, let's support South Africa, but because we have great quality products that are accessible and that are affordable. So that it's really about that. It's about the fact that we have a responsibility as a people to take care of our economy first, because the Buy Local movement is not unique to South Africa. Is a tried and tested method the world over.
So why is it important? Why should we be buying local?
And why shouldn't we? Because if we don't, as South Africans, who must then do it? I mean, we sit here, you and I, and, people that are watching the program today, each and every one of us, we all know somebody who is today actively looking for a job, let alone the pandemic. Even before the pandemic, our economy, we had been downgraded. Our economy was already in trouble. And we all know somebody who is, qualified, who has, the skill, who has given up on looking for a job. In fact, the statistics that we are exposed to don't even factor in people who've really just given up, because that's how persistent unemployment is, and that's how a bigger problem unemployment is in our country.
So this is the 9th year of the summit, but the first time that you're doing it virtually. Tell us about the experience. How are people going to enjoy it, experience it this time around?
So it's the first time for us, to produce the spectacle virtually. It comes with its pros and cons, but in the absence of us driving people to a venue like we would ordinarily do, or how we've done it the past 8 years, is that we are asking South Africans rather to log on, because it's going to be virtual, to log on to their devices and be part of the conversation and be part of the movement. We are mindful, though, that not everybody in South Africa will have access to Wi-Fi, access to, technology. And what we've then done for those people is that we've gone to community radio stations, to reach the outskirts of South Africa, just so we are inclusive, because we have a responsibility to do so.
So what kind of conversations will be happening over the 2 days?
So we're selling the summit and the narrative of the Buy Local movement as a lifestyle, because it should. Buying local and supporting local is an everyday thing, and that's how we've packaged it. So there's different things that you can log on to and choose, where you want to spend your time and which conversation you want to be part of. There's serious conversations about the economy, because we can't avoid that, where we unpack the how localization can be the key driver of the economy, where we have economists and captains of industry, unpacking that. In fact, a direct response to the keynote address that's going to be delivered by the first citizen, the president. And then we have, we've accommodated small businesses and entrepreneurs who have weathered the storm during the pandemic.
All right. Tell us a little bit about the theme, because it sounds quite catchy and interesting.
So the theme is, localization is a key driver of the economy, and that's really what it is. We understand, as the country's official Buy Local campaign, that we are not operating in isolation. When you look at the image of a cup that is full, what is inside the cup is yours, because you can't give from an empty cup. So that's what we are trying to get South Africans to think like, that they've got to take care of their own first. Everything else will then fall into place, because then whose responsibility should it be? And it's little things. It's little things like going to buy a loaf of bread today, going to buy a pair of shoes today, going to buy a uniform for the kids, going to buy whatever it is that is made locally, because you're keeping people employed in their jobs, and you're creating a demand, and you're sustaining the jobs that.
So living lekker locally.
Living lekker
Right,
locally.
so my sense from our conversation really is that this is about everybody, and you can be a consumer, literally just someone who goes to the shops every single day and buys stuff, but also private sector, public sector, about consciously now starting to think about, where am I buying my things from? I need to think more about, am I buying local? How do I contribute to building South Africa? And I suppose at this time in our country's history, and also with the pandemic and all of that, it is critical.
It is very critical. In fact, if you think of the many public comments that the president makes around the economy recovery plan, it is based on exactly that, localization. It is a big part of how we're going to revitalize and resuscitate our economy. It really is the critical point for us to start from as South Africa. The time is now. It's game time. A game time in the sense that we cannot afford to do the same things over and over again and hope for different results. We've got to roll up our sleeves and walk the journey together as a people with an intention, to make things work for the betterment of our economy.
Yeah. So national pride, very important, but at the same time, we also have to build products that we can be proud of.
Absolutely, and we have to build products that we can be proud of, products that are good quality, products that we can then sell to the world. Talking about the public sector, the private sector, and consumers, we've got to understand it this way, that when as a public servant, and I have a responsibility and the power to procure locally, you've got to understand that when you do that and do the right thing, especially with the designated items, you are keeping people employed. You are keeping people employed, and you're sustaining the jobs. And for everybody, whether you're in the public sector, private sector, or consumer, it's got to come to a point where if you don't buy anything that is made locally over a period of time, it must start to feel like you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
Honestly, it must start to feel like I've gone to shops 3 times this week, but in the process of doing that, I have not purchased not a single thing that is made locally. That must feel like you've done something wrong, because how have you contributed to the betterment of your economy?
And if we don't do it, who will?
Who will? Who will?
It's been great